Let me ask you too. When is the last time that you spoke to your pussy?
Like verbally out loud?
Like, great job, girl.
Yeah, like you're killing it.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
Welcome back. Happy post-Valentine's. I hope I don't know.
Ashley was my Valentine again.
Thank you guys for coming to the live show.
It was so much fun. The guests were unbelievable.
It was so great.
And I think that we get better at putting these shows together every single time. Like, I'm so proud of how fun they are.
No one does it better. Stay humble.
Well, if you guys missed it, we have made it available for you guys streaming through the 18th. You guys can get a ticket for it, stream it on your computer, your TV, whatever. girlsgoteatpodcast.com. Go to live shows, get tickets there, and you can stream it through the 18th. We are going to get into the only thing that's going on in my life, which is the Britney doc.
We are going to talk about Britney.
We have a special surprise for you guys this week on Thursday.
We have a bonus episode. It's our 3-year anniversary week.
Oh my God.
We started the podcast this week, 3 years ago in 2018. Can't believe it.
Can you believe we've been together for 3 years?
No.
I can't believe you've been listening to my voice on the podcast for 3 years.
Listen, we're looking for a producer so I can stop. I'm tapping out after 3 years.
Maybe they can answer our emails too. I'm tapping out of that too.
So
done running the company basically.
Yeah. But we have a bonus episode coming up on Thursday. It's our 3-year anniversary. We're not gonna give that away, but that is gonna be our special anniversary episode. So that's why we're doing it 3 years in. Is that all of our really announcements? Sign up for the email list.
Yeah.
Get the merch.
Yeah. If you guys are a new listener, all the resources on our website, girlsgoteatpodcast.com, live shows, all the dope merch, every episode we've ever done. You can search it. We get a lot of emails saying, have you ever done an episode on this? We worked really hard to put those on the website. So go ahead and search it. Everything's there.
Last week we talked about Dewey and pet loss and grief, and you guys, I've never gotten so many messages and emails and story tags and just really the most incredible support and people sharing their stories. So I just want to really say thank you to everybody who reached out. I have not responded to everybody yet. I have an email folder that I'll maybe get to. It's just growing by the day, but I really cannot thank you guys enough. Like, I only have, enough hours in the day to respond to everybody, but I am so appreciative. People just said the kindest, sweetest, most incredible stuff, like so loving. So I just really appreciate the response to that. I just wanted to give a really quick update on that. I had said that I was going to go do this little ceremony, I guess, with Dewey's ashes on February 4th, which is the day I got him. Also, like, his pseudo birthday. And I was going to do it at Dewey Beach, which was where he was named after. And so I went down there on the 4th. My family came down there, Matt and my mom and my dad. Obviously, we were outside, and it was like one of the most beautiful cathartic experiences I've had. The day itself was the most beautiful day I've ever seen in Dewey Beach. I've been going there my entire life. I used to live there. That's the place I've been the most, aside from like my childhood home. Like, it was unbelievable. I sent you pictures and you were like, what did you do to these photos? Like, how did you edit them? They were just, it was something, it looked like the colors, like the way the ocean was coming up was like different. Like, I was like, Matt, what is going on here? He was like, I don't know. He was like, it is the time of day. We just had a storm. It kind of does look like this, but this is like obscene. I've never seen it look like this. Yeah. And so it was just, I just felt like there were signs all around me. We stood around as a family and like, really, it wasn't like crying, it was like a lot of laughing. It was sharing these memories of Dewey and just talking about him. And then we each had like a little bit I'm keeping most of his ashes, but we had like a Ziploc bag of like our own little ashes. And we just kind of like spread them into the ocean. And then right as I was like getting done with my little bag, this wave came up. It didn't even like crash. It just knocked me off my feet. Like, it had been this really calm day and I almost fell over, and I hear Matt laughing. I was like stumbling. I was wearing snow boots in the water. I was
took
soaked.
A very cute family photo there too, all like bundled up.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. What? I'm glad that you broke the ice and laughed, because I was like, am I allowed to ask this? Okay. When you are scattering ashes, how do you not end up with them all over your body?
Well, there was wind like
blowing in the direction
so I like kind of
away
like
from you.
was like walking and kind of like I grabbed some in my hands and then just like kind of like sifted it out into the water and it just they blew. But yeah, my hands were ashy.
I couldn't imagine how it was done. I was thinking about you just like taking the baggie and dumping the whole bag into the water.
Who do you think did that? Who do you think did I look over and was just dumping his baggie in the water? Because you know it was Lee Hesseltine. I was like, wow, way to make it like a really
not special.
I was like doing handfuls and like letting them flow into the ocean. And my dad was like,
just opened up the bag. He was like, dumped it.
Yeah, like he was done before anybody else. I looked over. He was just dumping his ashes. One shot.
Lee's trying to get to the bar, and you know what? I respect it.
Well, we did. We brought a bottle of Vouv, and so we all did like a toast. You know, like I mean, nobody's on the beach. It's winter. It was a cold day, but it was this beautiful day. And I got a little choked up, and you know, I cry all the time. I've been crying so much. I didn't even really cry. It was this really uplifting, special experience. I feel like I got this sign from Dewey that he came and literally knocked me off my feet and always fuck around to find out. I was like, Matt videoed it. We were just dying laughing. We were like, that was from Dewey, like always out here going so hard. But it was just really special. Like I was low key dreading it. Like earlier in the day when I unscrewed the box with the ashes, I started to cry. I had a really hard time. I was like, this is the day I got him. Like, this is just really brutal. And then something about that little ceremony memorial we did like changed my whole outlook. I feel like I fully said goodbye. It was weird. It was like weirdly like I got closure. I feel like I can now actually start to think about the possibility of maybe getting another dog. Like it just was really, we all felt so like, I don't know how to describe it. We felt really positive and happy and like a lot of joy. And we even went to another bar afterwards and sat outside, of course, and like had drinks. Like we were just really, it was a good vibe. It was really good energy. I truly felt like he was there. I've never seen it look like that in my entire life.
I haven't either. I love that you got this closure. I think it's like a really beautiful moment and like what a nice way to say goodbye to him that your parents could come with you.
Yeah.
It's just like really so special. And his name is Dewey. You buried him in Dewey.
Yeah.
Your dad dumped his baggie out in Dewey.
Buried him, but yeah, put his ashes in the ocean. So anyway, I just want to give an update on that. Obviously I wasn't trying to make anybody sad. I feel like that was like a happy story. So I just wanted to give an update and thank you guys again for all the love and support.
You guys really especially this week, but over the years have shared so much of your lives with us. And we are so honored that you share your stories with us. I mean, I know that you guys tell us stuff that you don't tell your closest friends. You tell your family, you share stories about so much loss and so much triumph. And we are so honored to be like a safe space for that stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll talk more about it on our 3-year.
So today, last year we had 2 shows the night of the 15th in San Diego.
Yeah, I loved San Diego. That was so fun.
And then that morning, maybe it was that morning of the show or the next morning. No, that morning of the show where I talked about this at the San Diego shows and at the LA show. I heard this couple arguing next to me in the hotel, and have I told this in the podcast? Who cares?
I don't think you have.
If I can't remember, then you guys.
We
can't
both
remember.
had crazy experiences at that hotel.
Yeah, but I had heard this couple arguing, which I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, okay, I don't like to hear other people in a hotel. I should be able to have some peace and quiet in a hotel. You know what I mean? Like these walls are so thin, and I was like, kind of annoyed, but no big deal. I wasn't trying to sleep. It was in the morning. This was like 9 a.m. And then I hear it get a little escalated to the point where I was like, okay, this man is yelling at his girlfriend or wife a little more than I would like, like I am on edge and may call down to the desk if I feel like there's going to be a physical altercation. And they start going back and forth. She diffuses this situation a little bit. He calms down, and then they're going back and forth. And I'm hearing muffled like fighting, and then I just hear her go, "When was the last time you ate my pussy?" And I was like, oh my God. I sat down, I took a seat. I was like, I got to see this through.
Ashley almost called the front desk because Ashley loves to call the front desk about the size of her pillows and everything else going on in the room. And you were like, I'm not stopping this for 1 second.
No. I could tell there was a moment where you're like,
you were late coming downstairs.
Oh my God. This is going to escalate. Someone's going to get hurt. And then he took it down a notch. He was obviously not going to do anything physical. And when she said, when was the last time you ate my pussy? I was like, what's he going to say? What's he going to say?
I never asked you. Did you ever hear what he said back?
It's
like muffled.
he just, no, it wasn't, he didn't yell back, when was the last time you sucked my dick? He definitely did not. But they were like, I think what he said to her, if I can really try to rack my brain and remember, it was something of like, I do stuff for you all the time. Like, I think that was his, like, I do it all the time, or I do something. I think that was it. Like, I do it all the time. I do stuff for you all the time. He just took that road.
This is so funny. That day, we had a very different morning that day. That day, I laid a curling iron directly onto my tit, the whole stick, and just like seared my left tit. That was pretty bad. And then I accidentally pulled my whole tit out at the show later. You did. So the audience saw my nipples.
You're welcome, San Diego. Stay classy, San Diego. So, speaking of pussies, we have a great episode today. It is all about your pussy, talking to it, having better orgasms, all that stuff. So we're going to get to it with Cosmic. But before we do, we just want to address something that has been on our minds and that we wanted to bring awareness to. And that is the spike in violence and hate crimes against Asian Americans in this country. And we, of course, denounce this. I think that goes without saying. The spike is related to the coronavirus and, ultimately the hateful rhetoric from our former president that has emboldened people to take these violent actions. And it makes me sick to think that we had the whole time during a pandemic and he was calling it the China virus and whatever else. So it's just sickening and it's frustrating. It's not really getting a lot of coverage. And so we just wanted to use our platform to bring attention to it. Anti-racism includes all minorities. And at this time, we just want to draw attention to this and tell our listeners and that are a part of the Asian community that we are there on our minds and we support them. We would just want to encourage you guys to speak out against it and support your Asian friends, community members, and businesses, and amplify the voices of these people that are talking about this. And we had planned to discuss this, but we have gotten some messages from you guys, and we obviously are listening, and we wanted to read an email from one of our listeners that we thought might resonate with others and let others know how the members of the Asian community might be feeling right now.
Yeah, we got a listener email from a listener named Serena, and we just want to use her words.
She gave us permission.
Yeah, we would never put you guys on blast without asking for permission.
But we appreciate it.
So we're going to read it to you. So Serena says, since COVID hit, there's been a lot of hate crimes against Asian Americans throughout the country. I know y'all did an amazing job touching on the violence against African Americans this summer and the resources you provided and ways that we can all help. I'm hoping you can use your platform to bring awareness to all the hate crimes being committed against Asian Americans and especially the elderly Asian Americans who have seemed to have been targeted extremely often as of late. Yeah. I will say that growing up as a first-generation immigrant and an Asian American in the States, I've always been taught to just mind my own business and stay quiet to fit in. I think that's the upbringing of a lot of us Asians, especially first-generation immigrants, received. It's even hard for myself to know what I should and can do, but I find myself being extremely saddened because, like all immigrants, we come here hoping for a better life, and to be ostracized and hated because of a virus that we have no control over is just really horrific. It also seems like even with all the attacks that have happened recently, the mainstream media hasn't done much to report on it. And maybe it's because us Asians don't make a lot of noise and we're not prone to protesting and being outspoken, but I don't think it makes what's happening any less newsworthy or important. Anyways, I know that if anyone can do the topic justice, it's you two, and I really appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you for writing that to us. We've gotten a few, I've just kind of been in the DMs talking to some of you guys about it and trying to see who I can follow. Chrissy Teigen, no, not a hot take, but she's posted some great resources and just kind of like stats, people to follow, organizations you can support. And you have a great one too you wanted to share.
Yeah. And just small businesses in general. If you think back to the very beginning of the coronavirus, I remember the very first thing I actually posted on Instagram about the coronavirus was about Asian American businesses being targeted specifically and people no longer going to Chinatown and refusing to eat in these small businesses. And, these are the really small businesses that have really struggled since day one at the beginning of COVID, like so many other businesses.
Right.
Salons, restaurants, things like that. So obviously the first thing you guys can do is educate yourselves. The second thing you could do is support these small businesses that are really struggling, that have really taken a hit since day one. And one organization that I really like, which has been reported on quite a bit in the last few days, is called Enough is Enough. It's an initiative by Asian American business owners in New York City. Tons of really amazing Asian American owned restaurants. Eric Say, who owns 886 and a couple of restaurants in New York City, is the head of this. But it's meant to raise awareness on recent surges in hate crimes against Asian Americans. So they're doing a number of things. They focus on donating meals to homeless shelters, particularly those located in Chinatown with a large Asian American population. And then in addition to that, in addition to donating the meals, the group is also organizing virtual cooking classes with Asian chefs that you guys can take. Initially, they wanted to raise $10,000. As of right this minute, they're up to $35,000. So you guys can go, it's givebutter.com. The hashtag is hashtag enough is enough to donate. And of course, just continue to educate yourselves, continue to have those tough discussions. We are really honored to be a platform to raise awareness for these kind of things. And we really appreciate the emails and the messages.
Yeah, I co-sign. And we're going to move on.
Yes, we're going to talk about the only thing that is important that's going on in my life, which is the New York Times released a 6-part investigative journalism series. And one of the episodes is called Framing Britney Spears.
Yeah, it is on Hulu.
It's a quick and easy watch. And it's basically, it really focuses on Britney Spears' basically ascension into some what we would call maybe some mental illness trauma, captivity, her conservatorship. She's obviously not a part of it. Everybody, mostly in her life, her father, her boyfriend, they all declined to speak. But they talk about from when she was little till now, like what a conservatorship is. It's really super interesting. And you really just see this girl that was like a happy, well-adjusted, everyday girl, like grew up in Louisiana, really descend into some like pretty sad madness. And like, who could blame her?
Yeah. I mean, what I feel like overwhelmingly watching her as a kid, as a teenager, as a young woman, is that she was like really genuinely a good person. She is a good person with a good heart. She didn't have a mean bone in her body. She was just like this sweet girl, not yet a woman. And to see where she is now, she's like out of her body. She's like out of her mind. Like, I don't know what we're watching. People think it's coded. People think that she's faking it. I mean, I don't think we need to explain at this point Britney Spears' Instagram. It's like really kind of sad to see.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
And it's like, what is going on here? Is she fully in captivity? Is she drugged? All the stuff. But like, that was like a good girl that just got ripped to shreds by the media, and like, that's kind of like this formulaic thing that the media does to women. And I just wanted to read this, like, it was a tweet from Haley from Paramore, Haley from Paramore is great. I feel like she's really outspoken. She said the Framing Britney Spears doc, holy fuck, no artist today would have to endure the literal torture that media, society, utter misogynist inflicted upon her. The mental health awareness conversation culturally could never be where it is without the awful price she is paid. I feel like I'm going to cry. What happened to her would never happen today.
It could never happen today. And also, like, I think that people are vilifying the conservatorship. And yes, I think that like people in her life don't necessarily have her best interest, but this person does need to be taken care of. And this clearly was not a person who was born with mental illness. This was just like a nice, sweet girl that was like plucked out of obscurity and thrown into the Hollywood machine. And every single thing about her was just like ripped to shreds. And when you watch these like journalists on national television, Diane Sawyer and Matt Lauer, that fucking creep rapist, like talking to this child about her sex life and her breasts, and she's being mocked on national television for her mental health and made fun of. And this is before even social media and Instagram, and before like artists had a voice to tell the world, like, hey, this is what's happening to me, that she controls, that she can tell people what's going on. Like the things that were like allowed to go on I feel like crying when I think about it, because like you and I like have experienced the very smallest amount of this, where I feel like, people bully us, they talk about our bodies, they can go on any thread and write about us, and to be the biggest superstar in the world and be a child, and having people like Diane Sawyer ask you on national television about your sex life, it's unimaginable to me.
Yeah. And, I will say, like, yes, the extent to which that happened would not fly today. And I want to talk a little bit about that too, but the formula is still there. And the person I think who speaks about this the most is Jamila Jamil, who is a former guest of ours. And she talks about it. I think she has a whole Instagram highlight called Gaslighting on her Instagram, if you guys want to go watch that. And it's about putting famous women, performers, entertainers on a pedestal and then ripping them down for sport. And it is taking things they say out of context. Like, she is the most open about it I've ever seen as a celebrity. And like, most people have just always felt like they had to shut the fuck up and just smile and look pretty. And it's like, the fact that we're finally out here drawing attention to this, don't buy tabloids, don't share them, don't, just look at a headline on Twitter and then think that's what it's about. Like, we need to all do better in what we consume. And I think that there are starting to be like courses on this in college, in high school, maybe even, of like, what's real, what's fake, what are just headlines, what's clickbait. And like, I hate that shit. I hate the tabloids. Like I've never bought one in my life. I've never bought a Us Weekly in my life. You know what I mean? Like I've never been into it. I don't really think I was one of those people that was like so excited about the tearing down of Britney Spears back in the day. Like I feel like even though it was quote unquote normal and everybody was kind of on board with it, I still remember thinking like I'm not into this. This is like sad.
No, I remember watching her, especially like shave her head that night with the umbrellas and thinking to myself, like, this is not a person that's well. And this should not be like fodder for sport. This should not be like being made fun of. Jay Leno is making fun of her. I think all these people, I think Diane Sawyer, Jay Leno, all these people will look back at their behavior and understand that it did not age well. I think this just was the norm in journalism. That's not okay, but there are certain things that just didn't age well. We know that. But I watched that and I thought like, this is not like a well person. And there's no like formula for fame. No one is born knowing how to be famous. And all of a sudden, like her entire life is on display and she's being carted out of her house in a stretcher to a mental institution. And like people are like mocking her and making fun of her. You would never be okay after that. Like I watch her Instagram and I'm like, this person's not well, but like, how could you be well?
Yeah. The Justin Timberlake thing alone, like everyone just decided that Britney cheated on him and they were team Justin. And then that was the narrative. Like that was it. And who knows? You don't really know.
And then journalists are asking him, did you fuck Britney Spears? Be honest. She's a kid. This is just some like your high school girlfriend.
She's like out here like trying to keep up this like virginal thing. And then the moms that would be so mad at her. And what that one mom said, like, I wish I could shoot her or something crazy. Like
the governor's wife.
And then they brought that up to her in an interview and like made her cry. Like she was just literally, I felt like people were ripping her apart for sport. And like to see it on that documentary, it was like, fuck. And I have always had a huge problem with seeing like hordes of paparazzi. I mean, we know how Princess Diana died. It's sick. It's fucking sick. It's so sick that like a person can't walk to their car without being like mobbed by men with cameras.
But it's just, I think so many things like flew back in the day. Like I think about like growing up and seeing all these like funny skits about like R. Kelly peeing on girls and Dave Chappelle parodying it and SNL parodied all these like Michael Jackson stuff. And it was like, we all knew Michael Jackson was having sex with children and we all knew R. Kelly was a creep and we just like parodied it for fun.
I can't even believe it.
I just, none of this stuff would fly today. Making fun of like a really mentally not well person would fly. And I read this really interesting article. Craig Ferguson was being interviewed.
Yeah. And he didn't
he refused to like talk about her and make fun of her. And he thought it was going to be like the end of his career that he like refused to do it. And it's so interesting to me like that idea was so outside of the box to not rip down this again, child. And it's just, I don't know. I feel for her. I don't know enough about the conservatorship. I do think this is somebody that needs to be like protected from herself. I don't know from who though, you know, like I don't know anything about her family. You never know what's going on with these people behind closed doors.
Yeah. But I'm also like, what, you know, we can only do so much. Like, I don't really know what the actionable things here. Like we can just kind of like do better with what we consume and try not to let this happen to someone again. You know, people, they do protest and there's this whole free Britney movement, but like we can't, I mean, I don't know what the average person can do. I don't understand what her sister's doing. Where's Felicia? I was like, Felicia, what are you doing now? Step in.
And so my take on like the Felicia thing specifically, if you guys don't know that, she was sort of like Britney Spears' handler growing up as a family friend. Yeah. But I looked at her and I look at her life and like, this is just a person who's just like a simple woman from Louisiana who like was Britney Spears' basically like handler, assistant. And like, this isn't a person that like understands like the Hollywood machine.
Right. Yeah.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that now it's like, they're saying that it's being looked at. I thought that it did kind of end. I'm confused.
The conservatorship?
Yeah. Like recently there was a big court ruling.
So the end of the documentary, and yeah, it is a little confusing. They have a lawyer come in and actually break down what a conservatorship is. But what they talked about was how she petitioned for her father to not be the conservator
Jamie
anymore.
Lynn would be.
And they struck that down. And what they did was they added another person
okay.
that she had wanted.
I saw her in concert in Atlanta, like second wave of Britney, like the circus tour. So I did see her. She did the Vegas residency. She put out another album. Like, I don't know.
She was working. I don't know. It's sad. Listen, I'm glad, and you and I have talked about this a lot this week. I'm glad how far we've come. I'm glad that it's not okay to talk about these things, that like the very people that were discussing these things with her on national television would never dare do things like this. Yeah. I don't think we would mock a mentally ill person. Like, I don't think so. So I'm glad those things are changing. I'm glad for things like Instagram that like people can have a voice and say like, this is fucking happening.
Like the Dipsea chicks. Like, I think think about what happened to them, and like they didn't have their own platform on social media like celebrities and performers have today to tell you what really happened. Like you just have to let the media decide. And I'm just so glad people can control their own narratives. I think about it all the time. I think about the Me Too movement. I think about when it comes to the way people can talk to women, when it comes to the things people can do to women and how they can threaten women. And it's like, we've just come so far. The Me Too movement, I just feel grateful for it every single day. Like we have one more rec for you guys. And there's a scene in this show, which takes place in the early 2000s. And I just remember watching it and was like, that wouldn't fly today. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen today.
Or that the urge isn't there. If nothing else, that men are scared
and
to do that.
Yes. And so the goal is that most men, all men eventually don't harass women, assault women. They respect women because they intrinsically want to. They were brought up to act the right way. But like, if right now they're just not doing it because they're scared, fine. We scared them, you know, like fine. I love it. Like this shit just doesn't fly. And like, so much progress has been made. It's not perfect, and women are still getting assaulted and they're still getting sexually harassed. And, but we have come so far where at least you can watch a documentary like the Britney Spears documentary and be like, that shit wouldn't fly today.
No, I mean, I think that
that to be true.
I think that what we see today is not on a media level. It's on a more like micro level where like people are just leaving comments on like, I see this all the time. Every female celebrity, the things people say to them are terrible, you know? Like, I mean, I guess that's what we can do is just remember that all these people are people. They read these comments, they see this stuff. Your words are hurtful. Not everybody is just like a person with a shield up. It hurts to have people say things about your life and the way that you look and the decisions you made. And you don't know anything about what's going on in somebody's life ever.
Yeah, right.
So these things hurt. And when you repost things, making fun of people and leaving terrible comments, like every one of those things chips away a little bit. Yeah. I'm never going to pay attention to them, but like that stuff, I'm a person. That stuff hurts me.
Right.
Well, we're with you, Brittany.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you want to come on the podcast and tell your story.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? That's where she like breaks her silence on the podcast.
I want to hear more from her boyfriend, her hot ass boyfriend. He finally released a statement. What did you say?
He called her dad a dick. Right?
That was like, that's like the only statement he could muster.
Jamie's a dick.
He's like, Jamie's a dick.
Okay, Sam.
But listen, he's too beautiful to have a brain.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
He's like, he reminds me of Romaine from Selling Sunset. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, that's our Britney deep dive. We'll continue to talk about it as updates happen, I guess. Free Britney.
Yeah. Free Britney. And then Britney, if you want to come on the show.
Yeah. Britney, we're here. Sam too. If we all we can get a Sam, fine, we'll take it.
I'll take Sam Luffy. I'll take anyone.
Yeah, who will speak.
Yeah.
They wouldn't speak to the New York Times, but they'll talk to Girls Gotta Eat.
You never know.
And we have one more.
We're bigger than the failing New York Times.
The failing New York Times. Fake news. And then we just have one more TV rec for you guys. I have to say, someone slid into my DMs and they said first of all, we didn't really address this, but I was popping off about Emily in Paris getting 2 Golden Globe nominations.
Yeah.
And like shows like I May Destroy You didn't. Like I was popping off about it on my Instagram and someone slid in and was like, you need to watch Firefly Lane. And I go, what? I read the book. What are you talking about, Firefly Lane? That's a show now? Because I've read the book and I've read a lot of her books. Kristen Hanna, she's like a great author. And I was like, oh my gosh, I popped on Netflix, top of the Netflix. I was like, watched it all over a couple days. And this is a book I read. It came out in 2008. I've read a few more of Kristen Hanna's books. One called Night Road will like rip your heart out. And I recommend it. We're not going to really deep dive on it. Just we're going to recommend it to you guys. I mean, the main theme of the storyline is a female friendship. They're friends since they were little. It goes back and forth. If you watch This Is Us, it's very similar in terms of like the different stages of life. There's 3. There's like when they're kids, when they're in the workforce, early 20s, and then when they're present and it goes back and forth.
I thought it was so well done. I've never seen that done. Like 3 completely different time periods, and I'm invested in all 3 of them.
This Is Us does it. They're like the best to ever do it.
I watched part of the first episode of This Is Us, and I started crying, and I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, you cry every episode.
It's not for me. I'm already depressed enough. I can't. 2021. It's just I can't. But I thought it was great. The episodes are long. It's 8 episodes. It's just about these 2 women that are best friends and then their friendship. And if you've read the book, and I have not, but it's a different storyline than the book. They invent some different storylines.
Yeah, it's still the book, but they add some things that didn't happen in the book. Katherine Heigl, Sarah Chalk, I think that's her name.
I just call her Becky Connor.
Yeah, but Katherine Heigl's like the star, and she's a star, kind of like a famous person in the show. But we won't spoil it. But like, I highly recommend it. I can't see anybody that wouldn't like it. Like, it's not too like flowery, cheesy. but it's not too edgy. Like, it's just perfect. It's a great watch.
It's a great watch. And it's not so mindless either. Like, I was really enveloped in the story. All 8 episodes, they're long. It's like a nice long watch.
Yeah.
So that's on Netflix. Check it out.
And read her books.
Yeah.
If you like the
the
author, a lot of books for you to read. She's very prolific.
Okay. So those are our recs for this week. Check out both things, Framing Britney and Firefly Lane. All right, let's get into it. I am so excited for our guest today. She is the founder of an online community for women geared towards unlocking your womb, healing through your womb, and activating your pussy. We're going to talk about having better orgasms. Please welcome to the show, Cosmic.
Yeah. It's my blessing and my pleasure to be here, sisters. My pussy is thriving right now, which is a good thing. I'm active, I'm alert, so I'm excited to do this vibe, and thank you for having me.
Yes, we can hear the waves crashing in the background. This is like so annoying. It's like 20 degrees in New York City, and you're just outside,
I'm just out here.
glowing, waves crashing. I don't even hate it. We want to hear those waves.
We need to let it
trees.
rip.
That's what does it for me. That gets my pussy activated.
Yeah.
Yes, always dripping.
I wore makeup for you today.
You look fab, sis. You look fab. Always.
Thank you. Well, we're so excited. Tell everybody where you are coming to us from
and why you're there, what your story is, all the things.
All the things. So I am currently in the Dominican Republic, and I've been out here. Every time the water comes in, my pussy is just like, yes, bitch. Okay. So if you see me stop, it's not weird. Okay. It's just me.
It's just an orgasm.
It's just me. It's just an orgasm. I'm just manifesting some shit. Okay. But I've been out here for about 5 years, and it's so incredible, the story. So I was supposed to go to Jamaica with one of my staff members, and I was gifting her a trip because I used to always go to Jamaica. And literally about a month before that trip, my pussy started talking, and she said, sis, we need something else. And I was like, okay, are we going to do Brazil? Are we going to do any other place in South America? I was thinking about Dubai, and literally Dominican Republic came up, and I had never really even looked for it. And so I literally Googled a blog, like the YouTube blogs. And I was like, okay, Caribbean, I got what that looks like. Came here, had a pretty raunchy first night here. And then with not my husband.
Okay.
And
I was
then,
like, with your husband or? Okay.
No. And I tell him this because there's nothing, when you're just in love with yourself, you come with all of you without explanation, And so that was a really nice, actually on the beach, introduction to the Dominican Republic with my homegirl that I brought. And the second day I actually met my husband, and we've been together.
Oh, wow.
Like I said. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I just had this raunchy ass night last night.
You're like, I still have cum inside of me.
Oh my God, that story. I've never told it like in an online
He was
space.
like, I don't care what happened before me. I'm not trying to hear that. It doesn't matter.
And that's one thing. Shout out to my husband. He is one of the first secure men that loves every part of him without apology, and that's the only reason why we work. So I literally told him that, and I will granted, he did give me that look that he still gives me when I bring home stories, and he just like, bitch, who made you? Who? Because Dominican is pretty chill, so he's just like, you did what?
Yeah. I love that you like made this guy, and you're telling him about the night before. He's like, have you showered or have you?
I mean, like, what is the logistics? What are the logistics?
Have you been in the ocean? Have you cleansed a little, or am I just coming in hot right after?
I mean, have you did a ceremony, something, because I do ceremonies and shit, rituals. And he's just like, okay, that, like you said, that's previous, not post. And so that happened. We now fast forward. Both of my children were born here. They're 3, Amor Luz and Cosmic King. He's 1, February 4th. And so shout out to them.
Oh my God, I think we talked about, that's my dog, I was telling you that just passed. That's the day I got him, his birthday, February 4th. So that's like a special day for me too.
Major moves are happening on February 4th.
Okay. We love February.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that you said that your husband allows a weird word, but he lets you thrive, I guess, because he loves himself. And I think, if you start with a person that likes himself, that's confident, then they can allow their partner to really thrive in the world too. I love that.
And sis, I gotta check it on you. It's not even allowed because when you a boss ass motherfucker, you just come up. Nobody allow you to do. If anything,
I was like, what's a better word for this?
What can I say?
Right.
I would say he supports.
Okay, because no one allows you to do anything. You do what you want to do. I was searching for a better word. Thank you. Support.
No, and women need to hear that. Can't nobody allow you to do a goddamn thing.
Right. My husband lets me. No, I don't ever want to hear that. Yeah. And then just a little bit to back up. Are you from Minneapolis or?
Mm-hmm. I'm from South Minneapolis, Minnesota.
We just went to, and you've lived here. You've lived all over before you kind of like.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got distracted by the raunchy story of my entrance to the Dominican Republic. Yes. So I'm from Minnesota, Minneapolis. Lived in Chicago, went to school at DePaul in Chicago. I lived in Detroit, did city year. I lived in New York for about maybe 4 years, lived in LA, lived in Atlanta.
Wow.
From early, I've always been on my purpose. So this is kind of like, I feel like a veteran in the game. I knew what I was here for really early. I had the ability and the gift to open up people into their highest versions. And so that came in the form of, I was a motivational speaker for a while. I created my own curriculum for Black and Brown children, letting them know about knowledge of self. And we were in over 50 schools in Minneapolis and St. Paul. We did contracts with the Park Board. I was huge with providing young people a space to realize that they weren't broken before they became broken adults. And, we have the world that we have today. So I've always been in that. And I've been just blessed I've been to a lot of countries doing the work that I do. Work with a lot of organizations, and then there was a point where my pussy spoke, baby. It's just like the drama. I try to bring it to you, but I gotta give it to you how it came, right?
You really surprised me. When I think it's gonna get a little vibey, and then you're just like, pussy spoke to me.
She was like, I was helping children in the inner city, and then my pussy said, no, we're going to the DR.
No, yes. And pussy didn't say that, but what she did say, what she said, because you always think you know what you want to do. And when you surrender to the fact that you are actually bigger than the idea that you've contrived for yourself, or society, your parents have contrived for yourself, you start glowing up and expanding who you are, right? Not just your title, not just what you do, what you like. We are bigger than that, right? And so that was my comfort zone. I could go on a stage in front of 100,000 people. Didn't matter. People, young people. That was like becoming normal, right? And Pussy said, "How you doing, sis?" I said, "Hey, I'm good. What's up?" And she was like, "Leave all of the major contracts with the district right now and create spaces for women to heal and to elevate." And I was like,
how'd you learn all those words?
First question, who are you?
Who taught you this?
Elevate. Where'd you learn an SAT word?
Girl. But I remember I had it, it's now been deleted, but I put a post crying the first event that I sold out in like 2 days, right? The first retreat. And then I did in 2019, over 19 retreats that sold out. And
oh, wow.
I remember like yesterday being like, will they buy into this? Will my people buy into investment in themselves, when it's a higher ticket price than just say getting a blunt or some liquor or some free penis, like will they actually invest to come across, the border and to connect in the nature of themselves, right? And so did that all 2019. We know what happened 2020, a different time. And that's when my online communities were authentically, and authenticity and integrity are very important to me, or I don't touch it, right? So creating those online communities for women who are ready to do the work to heal, right? So what I do is really cosmic in its essence, right? Providing the space where women are comfortable enough to be themselves, as themselves, and to do the healing on themselves from the past, because it doesn't go anywhere. It's still there unless we deal with it. So it's been beautiful to create a space where not just Black and brown women can come, any woman that is willing to do the work, to heal the trauma, to change the narratives, and to elevate themselves through the power of themselves That's what we rock with. So we do that now. I have 3 retreats for this year. They're all sold out as well. I have the cosmic orgasm coming up, which when I tell y'all, like my pussy is like throbbing.
We want to give people a little taste of your pussy and what it's and what you teach women in these seminars. And obviously you don't want to give everything away because you want people to come, but we want to talk to you about today about how to get better in touch with your body and healing and have amazing orgasms with a partner and with yourself, because both of those things are super important.
I just have to say, I didn't even say this up top. I was introduced to you through Kelly Knight, who was a former guest of ours, Modern Mystic. We had her on just a few months back, and she just messaged me and she said, I think I have this woman that would be a great guest for you. I just did this workshop and I've been turned on for 24 hours. Like she was like, I can feel this like in my body. And I was like, say no more, fam. So
say no more. Who she is. You know? So the important thing about talking about orgasm and orgasming and raising your vibration and just feeling really good. That's the point of an orgasm, right? The physical part of it is only a part of it, right? So what I really focus on, it's nice to just get, bust a nut, orgasm, squirt, whatever you do. But there are levels to that. And so what I always like to bring to women is if you want the highest level of orgasm, not just in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, in your emotions, that shit is why Kelly was physically buzzing when she left the workshop, because it's not just about your pussy, right? You have a body that has been with you your entire life that also has energy that needs to be released, energy that is stuck, right? So I always give the example, and this might seem disconnected, but it's all connected. When I was 7, I was sexually abused. Until I worked through that energy, every single orgasm and partner only reached a cap because I had not addressed that trauma, right? So when I addressed the trauma, which took some years, it takes some time, when I went back to the sexual portion of it after having dealt with the spiritual portion of it and the energetic portion, I was finally able to enjoy sex. And I'm a sex goddess in this motherfucker, right? But for a long time while I was healing, it kind of got to this point where just orgasms weren't hitting anymore. And I was like, is there something wrong with the pussy? Is there something wrong with the partner? They're beautiful. I love him. We're great. The vibe is incredible. But I was hitting this cap. And that's why I always just kind of work with women to say, really, when it comes to orgasming, you have to honor yourself. You have to honor. So, for example, I work with women all the time that have low self-esteem. I don't care what they put online, they have low self-esteem. I work with women that have lots of trauma that has manifested into physical form in their body, right? That's also present while you're busting a nut, right? Also looking at who are you even intercoursing with? Because that's what the universe was like, you can't keep letting Pookie and Ray Ray come in you, And I was like, why? And then I was wondering why I would just be angry all of a sudden or have traits that were not me. It's because who I was allowing inside of me, right? Period. So when we're talking about orgasm, we have to get deep because it's not just a simple topic. And so, I kind of prepared for pussy principles to share with y'all today. Of course,
I can't wait.
We go. You said, "Girl, I'm writing this shit down." Okay,
I'm so moved by this. I think that so many women, don't know how to. Everybody has a different masturbation story. They don't know how to touch themselves. They don't know how to tell a partner to touch themselves. But I didn't even think about all the other emotional things that come before you can even teach yourself how to do that. And I think that just want to honor what you say. I'm very moved by it.
No,
get your notebooks out, y'all. I said, get your notebooks out, y'all.
And replay this shit because honestly, a lot of times as women, we internalize that it's always us, we're just like, I'm broken. It's me, and it's really about like looking at the fact that you're not just a body, your experiences. So that low self-esteem you had your entire life is not going to go away because you found the love of your life. You know what I'm saying? It all takes work and we block ourselves. Most women, girl, to keep it honest, I don't care how much sex they've had, how many great masturbation times they've had, how many toys they've bought. They haven't really experienced true orgasmic orgasm. I can guarantee that, just because of the work that I do with, and I meet women like for a living, you know, and it's really about like getting all of that in alignment so you can really ascend yourself to another realm through masturbation, through play, or through intercourse, or all three in one night, depending on how much energy you got, right? You know,
Right.
But, you know, before you go, and this is always what I said to my women, because some of them are like, you know, I can't orgasm with my partner, or, you know, they kind of reach that like numb place where you might orgasm, but it's just not hitting the same, you know? And I always just let them know, use these principles. So and these all have to do with your pussy / your womb.
We are back into it with Cosmic. She's going to go through her 4 principles for how to have a cosmic orgasm. Let's get into it.
The first one is honor your womb. Honor your womb. When your vagina or when your womb is telling you about red flags, when she's trying to speak to you about certain things that are in your life that you need to pay attention to, or how she desires to be pleasured, that's also a big one. Speak up for her by honoring her and respecting what she says. So sometimes we always sacrifice what we desire for our partners, right? So we really want slow, intimate build up, and we just allow our partners to just intercourse with us however they want, because we are, you know, we love to nourish and serve and put ourselves last as women most times, you know. But when we honor her, if she wants to be ate out for 3 hours before ever allowing a motherfucker to enter her door, listen to her. Listen to her. Because anyone that deserves to enter her will listen to her as well, right? So honoring your womb. Just like you would honor and respect some big name who told you to do something, you are a big name. Your pussy is a big name. She's famous, right? She's wisdom inside of you. Honor her. If she's not trying to have sex with someone, you know, so honoring her and creating space to respect what she says without being ashamed. Because as women, we always feel like we never want to ruffle nobody's feathers, even if it's our truth. And if you're listening to this, your truth is enough, you know? If you do want to try something, or you don't want to try something, or you want to experiment, anybody that really rocks with you will be open to you honoring your truth. And if not, well, I mean, that's your decision if you want to give that person any type of play.
Why do we honor what somebody else wants before we honor what we want?
Before
Why?
they literally
And
get
then
inside of us. Yeah.
And then wonder why we're not
Right.
satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, we wonder why we're not satisfied. And it's like, because you let him climb on top of you and hump you at his pace until he was finished, and then the experience was over. And it is so, listen, I want to please my partner. I want to please the people I'm with. I want them to have great orgasms. It turns me on so much to turn somebody else on, which is why I love oral sex, giving oral sex.
me too.
But why are we spending so much time making sure that like he or she, whoever your partner in that sexual experience is, they get off when like we're ignoring how we can get off?
Yeah.
Right.
And some of us don't even honor ourselves in masturbation because we're so in a fucking loop of how masturbation needs to be. Honor yourself. So for example, if your pussy is telling you, bitch, create the motherfucking scene. I don't want to be quickly rubbed and then discarded like I was never there. You know, maybe she wants some nice, you know, incense or some homemade candles or some tea before. You know, we're so programmed to think that we need to masturbate to porn or to some stimulation that comes in a typical way, where we're not even like really present with what we're asking for, you know? And so like, this can obviously translate to our partners, but also translate to ourselves. Are you even pleasing yourself how you want to be pleased?
Right.
That's where it comes from, because anything outside of us is literally only a reflection of what we allow inside of us, right? So if your relationships are showing a pattern, it's because you're showing that pattern with yourself. And that's why you attracted the relationship, to show you externally, sister, look at you. It's not their asses. It's you that's attracting and creating space for their asses to do what they do. You understand?
Right. Yeah, and that was I said it on our first episode of the year that my goal for 2021 was to fuck myself better before.
Yes, because you know what that does? Ooh, child, I don't remember how old I was, baby, but I remember the experience. I'm getting excited right now thinking about like, woo, bitch, bring me back. I remember because I thought I was like something like I thought I had broke my pussy from like my sexual experiences, and I'm just like I just don't feel it anymore. I was waiting for my partner to recognize me as a goddess, but I wasn't actually like recognizing myself. So it was like I had to wait for someone else to say or to honor or to bask as opposed to me doing it. So I remember I booked a really nice and expensive hotel room. I got everything that I actually love, not for my partners, not what I'm taught as a woman to like. You know what I'm saying? Not all these cultural pressures. I got what I needed to feel wet and to feel like horny for myself. And it required something that was hard as a businesswoman when your head is always going. It required me shutting my brain off and tapping into my body, breathing with my body, slowing down and even feeling the slightest of touch, right? Oiling my body after a nice bath or shower, right? And allowing not just to rush through so I can get on to the rubbing of the clitoris, right? None of that. It was like honoring this body. This body has done a lot. This body has been through a lot. And that was the first time that I started to turn myself on because no one had ever taught me that I needed to turn myself on first. It was like, please your man, please your woman, please your this, please your that. It was never, what do you want for you? And I remember when I orgasmed, I remember just being like sprawled out and like, I've never taken like ayahuasca teas or any of that, but I could imagine it would be like mushrooms or something. It took about 30 minutes to fully come back into my body. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
It was a game changer because I had to guide myself into that ecstasy to understand how to guide someone else into that with me.
Sure. Absolutely.
And that was monumental, but I didn't get that until I was honoring her. So that's the first pussy principle. Honor your womb, honor your vagina, and respect what she's telling you.
I have a question for you. Or Ashley, either one of you, just like your feedback, because we hear from a lot of women. I'll get DMs every once in a while that say, I'm 25. I just had my first orgasm. You guys encouraged me to masturbate. And I discovered masturbation really young. Like I was masturbating when I was like 13. And not for any weird reasons. I got in touch with my body early. But I'm curious why people are sort of afraid to touch themselves. Cause in my mind, I'm like, well, you're alone. No one's going to know about this, right? There shouldn't be any shame in it. It's a beautiful thing. So like, why do you guys think it's so hard for people to do this thing when you're alone?
I think society has a lot to do with it. Just cultural norms. I don't know about you, but like, I don't think I've ever told this outside of my circle, but I remember, so I grew up like Baptist, Christian, very, strict, conservative. We were in church like 7 days a week. And I remember being like, I love masturbating. It makes me feel so powerful. Why is this wrong? And of course, my ass was asking the pastor and he was just like, bitch, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you? And I'm like, I'm not a hoe. I'm not out here fucking. This feels good. This feels natural.
Yeah.
Why am I being attacked? So a part of that was like cultural and religious for me.
Religious, yeah.
And then I remember like, I would like go to the libraries and I really like in that time, I think I was like 14 or 15. And I would like print off like erotic writing, like porn writing. I don't know what they call it, but and I would go in the bathroom stall in the library, which now I'm looking back like gross, but I did it. And I would just read because I was a reader. I was an avid reader. I was super intellectual. So that was my way of like, I could create scenes by just reading, obviously, right? I remember I would masturbate in the bathroom. I would just feel so good. And I remember like trying to talk to my mother about it. And it was like, there was no sex, no exploration talk with her at all. And so some of the times there's just not safe spaces where we can and that's why I love being a mother, because I can really raise children that understand that that's a part of life. And it's like when you get your cycle, it's a beautiful part of like life and transition and exploration. And I think a lot of times we're just taught to fit into the conservative box that most people are given. And there's not that understanding of this is a beautiful form of exploring and expressing yourself. So what we do is we start to repress ourselves, and that's when the sexual weird shit comes out, because we never had a free space and a free time and support from those people that we look up to as power centers in our life to actually explore our bodies. It was always, at least for me, cover up. You know, I'm a nudist. My breasts are always out. I rarely wear panties. My mother thinks that I have completely gone off on drugs, you know what I'm saying? Just because that's so different from her reality. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like in the Black home that I came from, I never had a conversation around sex, mm-hmm. which breaks my heart thinking about it. And if I would have tried, there would have been something wrong with me.
Right.
So that makes you keep it on the hush hush, you know?
And that's probably what people think too. Like, even though you are alone, nobody knows what you're doing in the privacy of your own home. I think it's a matter of feeling like something's wrong with you, like you're a weirdo, like you're abnormal. Yeah. And so it's a lot of it, I think, is just knowing that is just normalizing all of it. So it's podcasts like ours, it's what you do. And so I think it's just like, you just don't want to feel like you're in your home doing something that's like so fucking weird. Like I don't care, but I think a lot of people, they don't want to feel like something's quote unquote wrong with them. So it's like almost like the second you hear, it's the same with kinks. It's the same with anything that like outside the norm. So it's just a large part of it is just normalizing it. I think that so many people have probably heard us say stuff on our podcast and your community, something that you do, whether it's with a partner or alone. And they're like, wait, I can do that too. And I'm not weird. And like a lot of it is just knowing that it's whatever you're into is fine in a, safe space, or as long as you're not harming yourself and stuff like that. So I think that's part of it. It's just like, you're 22, 25-year-old girl and you like want to do this thing on your own. You're like, am I a freak? And it's just like, the more we can tell women, no, you're not a freak. Honor your pussy is the better.
That's so important. The space is like, I love you all's podcast because you all being so open in your truth is inspiration enough for others that have never seen women that look like them, seen women that talk like them, seen women that thought like them, that had the same experience and that were open about it. Still in 2021, we're finding that those spaces are rare and far and in between. Like, I do this for a living. The majority of women, I would almost say 95%, have not even experienced their true self. And so when they come into these spaces where it's open and it's not a pressure to be anything other than what you choose to be, that's a freedom that takes getting used to, because most of us weren't raised with that freedom, right? Most of us were raised where it's like, this is what you need to be. This is what's acceptable. This is what, and as we're finding, and sexuality is a personal journey, right? No one can tell you what's appropriate for you other than you. And that's also a reminder that we need to show women, is that like, no one can really tell you how to honor yourself. That's your responsibility.
Yeah, and fuck anybody that's going to judge you for this stuff. And I love that you're normalizing these conversations and that we are. And I didn't realize how, I guess, hush-hush so much of this was, because I was raised by a mother that was a therapist, Jewish, in the Northeast. My mom bought me Your Body Yourself when I was like 10. My mom was like, explore yourself, see what's happening to your body. I didn't realize how many people were so shamed for wanting to try things, do things. Somebody even said something to me recently. I was talking to a man about some sexual things I wanted to do. And he said, I'm from the South. We don't talk about these things. And I was like, well, then fuck you. I'm sorry for you that you're so repressed.
Yeah. When you honor yourself, you realize that everybody ain't for you. Like that partner that was like, we don't talk about these things. That is a beautiful sign from the universe, just being like, this is not worth putting more energy into, because y'all are not even on the same page. And that's okay. Because why would you even want to be with someone that can't even add to the conversation, that is even afraid to have the conversation, So that's a blessing. Move along. I'm sure he'll find another, dry pussy, conservative woman. They're all over the place, know, and you can go ahead and get your little raunchy man on the way. You feel me? So
yes,
honoring yourself can never go wrong, because you don't ever lose anybody. I have had a client that left a husband after 25 years of marriage, and she was never satisfied because she wasn't honoring herself, right? Okay. She was staying in the marriage because you're supposed to stay married, and she was never sexually satisfied. But when she, did the program or whatever, she literally got to a space where you're able to get out of it long enough to see that you haven't been honoring yourself, and realize that anyone that leaves after you honor yourself, or that separates themselves for you after you honor yourself, is not supposed to be with you in this part of your journey, and that is okay. It's okay.
Great. Well, first principle, we nailed it. Honor your pussy, honor your womb. Let's can we move on to the second.
Affirm her. Okay. Affirm her. So let me ask you too. When is the last time that you spoke to your pussy?
Like verbally out loud?
Never. Like, great job, girl.
Yeah, like you're killing it.
No,
It sounds so great.
Yeah, I'm into it. I don't know that I had an orgasm last night. It was great. I feel like I'm trying to manifest when I'm climaxing, and so that was great. But we didn't chat afterwards. So why don't you help us?
So I mean, and it's kind of something that it might sound weird to people. Almost like I have my clients. We have a mirror and we look at our vaginas together. That's also, most people have never just stared at their vaginas before. But when I'm talking about like affirming her, like you would affirm yourself, if you're getting over low self-esteem or depression, you're going to use affirmations. Affirmations are huge on the internet and in real life. I am safe, I am grounded, I am worthy, all of these things. Mm-hmm. So you just put your hand on your heart and the other hand on your pussy. And I always start off with like an honoring prayer to her. And I let her know that I create space for her infinity. I honor her uniqueness. I submit to her power, right? And I support her. That's, for example, what I do every morning. But like literally, as we know, words create things. Mm-hmm. And also words have the power to regulate our emotions. If someone calls you fat, I'm guaranteed that you're going to feel a type of way. Mm-hmm. If someone calls you beautiful, I can guarantee your frequency will be higher, right? The same thing works with our pussies, right? We have to take time to slow down, and all these principles require that we do what America and these, first world countries are telling us not to do, but slowing down and realizing if we've never talked to our wombs, how does she feel? Mm-hmm. How is he supposed to feel? Because when you talk to something, you create space for it. And so affirming her, and it can literally just be like, I trust your truth. I trust your truth. But you don't even have to touch her, because when you close your eyes, you can go down to her and feel her. First of all, relax her, because some of us women, we hold tension in our wombs and in our stomachs, which is horrible, right? But just relax her. Allow your ass cheeks, it sounds really weird, but allow your ass cheeks to relax. Allow your pussy muscles to fully relax. And when they're relaxed, you can let things in and speak light into her. It can even be one word, just peace. And I tell women, particularly that have trauma, I think most women have some type of trauma in their wombs. It could be a miscarriage. It could be one fucked up ass narcissistic boyfriend that you wasted too much time for. It could be anything. Someone telling you that you're younger, that you were a hoe when all you were doing was expressing yourself. Your body remembers words and experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes if you're not used to it, I tell people, just do that exercise of just relaxing, and then verbally speaking a word, peace, some of like healing, joy. And the magic of how energy works is it will work for you by creating that space. So the second principle is really affirming her. And I know that some people might listen to this and be like, that's weird. But you would affirm, for example, your husband, I'm assuming your partner, your girl, you would affirm your children, you would affirm your girlfriends. Like, yes, girl, everything that you work for, you are about to harvest. Why can't we do that with everything outside of us and neglect our main center? Right? So if anyone's listening to this right now, I can guarantee you that energy is going to move and doors are going to open up for yourself when you start doing that self-care of, I'm going to affirm not just my womb. I tell people, anything that you're insecure about on your body in your life, affirm it in love, because nobody's going to do that for you but you. Nobody can heal you but yourself. Yeah. And so affirming is a huge principle, because it takes the power of our lives as women back into our hands. Too many women are feeling insecure, not good enough, not skinny enough, hair's not long enough, it's not big, because they don't affirm themselves on a consistent basis.
I love that. I've been wanting to just like, tell me how you feel about this. I'm sure you do this. I've been just wanting to get some like sunlight in my pussy. Like, I think it was like Shailene Woodley said, like, she glows because she like opens her legs and gets like this. And I'm like, where can I do this? I got to find a place to just like spread eagle into the sun. And I just, I'm not getting
I mean, I do it every day. It's necessary.
Would be nice. Yeah. I feel like Ashley, the whole complex.
I don't have anywhere to do it. And I just was like,
use the ring light.
I'm listening to you talk and I'm like, I feel like she gets that vitamin D in her pussy. I can
all the way. I get it from the source, right? And I mean, and you know, I think it's so interesting because just like plants, like I'm looking at all these beautiful palm trees and all of this life that's growing, and even stuff out of concrete because it has access to the sun.
Yes.
If this little motherfucker can grow off this concrete, you can grow some manifestations out your pussy. Okay, so. You know, because if life can survive there, and there's something beautiful about self-acceptance when you can just surrender to a source like the sun.
Right.
I highly suggested that it's not a ring light or it's not a light bulb, but that you
So I can't ring light Ashley's pussy.
It's gotta be the real deal.
That's gonna do some more damage than it does.
Like I want to feel like a breeze on my bare pussy. Like I'm like, where do I do this? I think next time I go to my parents, I'm just gonna. You can't do it on the beach. I'm not
in Miami. You could next time you go to your parents.
Right,
next time I'm around my dad.
No, I mean I'm gonna like go. My parents live on a big farm, so I'm just gonna go out in my own space and like just bring a little.
And it's best to do it like as a ceremony to yourself. And I know most of us don't even know what that looks like because we're just trying to make it. But even like every time I do it alone. I tell my husband or my partners or whoever I'm with, like, don't disturb me. As if I was meditating in my altar. This is not like it's not like a fun thing. It's like like how you charge some crystals. I'm charging my pussy. Get the fuck away. Don't be interrupting. Like,
okay.
All right. What do you have a principle 3 that you can hit us with?
I do. Okay. And it kind of I was going to start talking Spanish, follows from honoring her. And it's just listening, listening when she's tired and she needs to rest, listening when she's, anxious or, apprehensive, listening when she's insecure. Right. Because we receive messages through our pussy all the time. We as women, we are the highly intuitive, but we don't listen to our intuition. And so that always baffles me because you don't need to hire all these gurus to tell you what you already know if you tap into your intuition. And you can only tap into something when you listen. It's almost like, like when we're younger, we never listened to our parents, but they were right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like really realizing that, like, if you create space, she will speak. Even if you've been like silencing her for years or ignoring her or just making her pretty because that's what you're supposed to do, whatever that looks like, those pressures. But when you really listen to something, you create a respect and a relationship with it. It's like in a relationship with someone, if your man or your woman doesn't listen to you, it's always going to be a recurring problem because communication is important in any relationship. And so if you are in a space where you're always telling her who to be and not really listening, the solution to your issue is going to come from your womb because that's our energy sources. We are multipliers. We are highly intuitive. Some of us women are empaths. That comes from the root chakra. That comes from within you. So principle 3 is just listening to her. I do this meditation where I put on some, frequency or some nature sound or just go outside. I sit with my legs kind of like this, like when your legs to the side and your feet are together and your pussy is just open. And I just put my hand on top of her, the other hand on my heart, and I just listen. Because it takes humility to listen. Like, we don't know everything consciously, So I listen to her. Sometimes she brings up people that she's like, bitch, check him out some more. Do a little background check on him. Or sometimes she's like, text a friend. I always listen, and that friend is always going through something, right? And sometimes she tells me, take that trip, go back and look at the flight. Flight's cheaper, and I get some free shit with it, whatever it looks like, right? But like, it's a constant conversation, and that's what listening does, is it opens up reciprocal conversation. So listen to her. Listen to her.
And for people that are like, like, oh, what do you mean? Listen to my pussy. This is like a little too woo woo for me. First of all, it's not. It's listening to your body. And we always say trust your gut, and it's this. That's the same thing. It's trust your gut is the same thing as listening to your womb. Really, it's just kind of like feeling what's going on in your body, listening to your body. And as women, our womb is like, and our vagina is like the central of our body. Like that's where it's coming from. Like there's a reason why people say trust your gut. You know what I mean? And no one thinks that's crazy. So it's ultimately the same principle. And it's like it's when you ignore it and you don't sit down and take some time with yourself and listen to what your body's doing, that's when things go wrong.
And I always tell people, I mean, and I still don't see how people would think this is kind of like woo-woo in 2021 when we don't. No. But I know a lot of people haven't encountered it before, right? And my thing is like reconnection to yourself happens through your pussy. So this is like top priority stuff. And because, a lot of us are, 2020 really made people sit with themselves, particularly when we were in quarantine and you had to be with what you've been building or not been building. It's right in front of you because you're in the house with it. You don't have anywhere to go. And that should have been like, I think a lot of people are awakening, particularly women, into their own powers because the pandemic has forced us to slow down. It's forced us to be into contact with our families and our spouses and our lovers and to really see what we have going on outside of ourselves and within ourselves. I know my clients has like spiked through the roof because they're like, bitch, I do not like what I'm seeing. Or like, what do I do with it now that I can't go out to the club, travel, distract myself, go do anything that's not be with myself. Now that, I saw during quarantine that like women in particular were starting to wake up to their realities. And they may have not known what to do with it. And so I always tell people that I've never heard these things before. That's on purpose because when a woman figures out who she is, it's a wrap.
Oh my God, that gave me chills. Like it's so true. And there was this meme like years ago. I can't, but it was a quote. I mean, I say a meme, but it was like a tweet or a quote. And it was something like, who you're becoming will cost you like it'll cost you things. It doesn't matter. Like it will all be worth it. And that's not saying like to, end relationships, but it will cost you. It will cost you. But it will be worth it in the end. Like figure out who you really are. Yeah.
It will cost you the narratives that you've been telling yourself. That I don't care. I mean, I work with successful people in one area, but I mean, there's no like ultimate success. We are put here to continue to evolve, right? And so even like myself, I do this for a living since I was 12. I'm finding out like, damn, a bitch is infinite. A bitch is infinite.
I wasn't sure where this was going to go by talking to your pussy, but I'm into it. You know what? Do this shit. Listen to your pussy and check in and do the shit you want to do. And you know what? Yes. Don't do the shit you don't want to do.
Yes.
And that's it.
And watch how your life goes up. Watch how your frequency, and then watch how your relationships. I was telling this to my group that are like, well, he doesn't do this and he doesn't get it. And there are men and women out there that do get it. Now, yes, it's small in comparison to the masses, but like literally when you up your standards on yourself, you hold that expectation for anyone that comes into your life. And anyone that's currently been in it, they either have a choice to rock with it and elevate themselves or to, be phased out. Either way, that's not on you. Your only responsibility is making sure that you are authentic to your core, right? And when we do this, we create an environment where other people can get that light to be authentic to their core. And it works like a ripple effect. Our children can actually see, like I love having, children around me because I know that it's rare for them to see that and to be affirmed in the fact that they are perfectly designed. All they have to do is glow up in their design. Not my design, not the father's, not society. We are perfectly designed. I mean, just bask in that, and when we start to really like activate our power, we'll realize that all the dead weight will remove itself, making way for things that are of our design, right? Yeah. We attract what we are.
Yeah. And if somebody cannot support what you want, if somebody wants to tell you that they won't masturbate in front of you because they're from the South and it's just not done, then see your way out the door. I will find somebody to masturbate in front of me.
And then we'll do it, girl, when you want it. Take some video. I don't care if you want a work trip, baby. Send me the video. I I love watching men. I love watching men and women pleasure themselves. So that is, again, I wish you well.
Me and my WAP will just be over here living our truth.
Yes. And and the cool thing about doing these principles too is because sometimes we can tell ourselves this narrative of if I show up for myself, no one's going to accept me. That's such a small space to live in, because although the masses might misunderstand, there are still a lot of people that do and that accept and that have the capacity for what you actually desire. But if you always tell yourself that narrative of, well, I can't leave him because, well, there's no one that's really going to be able, you're already self-prophesizing,
right.
And
sabotaging,
completely before you even make a move.
Mm-hmm.
You're making yourself stagnant before you even take a step, because you're saying, me living in my truth, well, who's going to accept that? So when we look at this, when we look at ourselves,
the right person for you,
maybe, the right, yeah.
When you find them,
and connecting this to Waldy, before I was with him, like I told you, Ash, every relationship tried to make me smaller than the big ass goddess that I am, and they didn't have the capacity. But I left their asses, and I got to a point where before I was with Waldy, I was with a narcissist, and I took a year of cutting him off and dating myself. Because then I got to a point after I got out of the in love, blinder stage, right? That I would rather be single and wait than ever sacrifice an authentic part of myself. And I remember when I told Waldy that I would need to have the freedom, I came into this relationship with, to do anything with anyone that I attract, and to have his blessing and support as one of my head partners, I was ready to leave my marriage. When I went into that conversation, I had already made that commitment. And even though it hurt, because I love him to my core, I remember crying because I was like, he's not going to accept this. He's going to be like, bitch, now went off the fucking rocker. You are asking too much. But I made the decision in myself, if this is for me, it's going to be for my true self. And I told him, this is not a conversation where I'm asking for permission. This is a conversation where I'm letting you know my truth, and I hope that we can live it together. And like I was telling you, Ash, it wasn't easy, because Dominicans are not open to polyamory in general, just like the States is typically not. And even more, it's really, really weird here because it's just a smaller, more simpler island, right? And so, because sometimes people are always like, well, your husband, he's weird like you, he's open, he's this. Waldy is the opposite of me. And it grew our love that he could have the capacity to support something that he was against.
One thing we talked about before when we chatted about this was you gave him some time and space. You didn't come to him and say, I want to be more open and, whatever. I mean, also you didn't have any you just wanted to live your truth, whatever that meant. You didn't go to him and you weren't like, I want to have another husband in this place. No. You just were like, I want to be open and I want you to accept me for who I am. But you told me that you just he wasn't like, yeah, girl, do you? It took a while. It took him a week. I think that was a beautiful thing that you were like, I am going to do this. I want you to be supportive. And you gave him some time and were patient with him. And he came around because he loves you and wants you to live your truth too.
Can we back up for 1 second just to loop me in? Because you guys talked a little bit before this.
Loop me in.
And loop me in the audience in. When you approached him, because you said you were ready to walk out of the marriage, did you have a bunch of different conversations where you tried to move the goalpost a little bit? Or were you just sort of formulating this and you went to him and said this is what I want, what I'm going to do? So how did that look for anybody that's thinking I want to maybe think about this?
Well, the first time, and I always move in truth. So at one point, the first conversation we had, I was like, you know what, Waldy? And we were just laying in bed. He's like, what, bitch? I was like, I really feel called to be free and open to massage, lay naked with, because I'm a nudist, he knows that. So I didn't ask for the sexual piece of it first. I didn't, because it wasn't coming up. So I didn't this is also why I think that it worked, because it was just when it came up is when it came out.
Right.
And that's love, is when you don't have to like prepare for it or
right. Have a PowerPoint.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, PowerPoint 1, slide 3, you know,
we don't know how to make those. So that's not an option.
Right.
For
No,
us.
at all. Like at all. Gross.
Just speaking from the heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and so it was just like, you know, kissing, dates, you know, fun stuff that came up. And he's like, you know, he asked some questions. I remember I even went over my birth chart with him because it said in my birth chart, it's impossible for you to be polyamorous because of the type of light you are. Like it literally said that. And I was like, see, the universe says this. I'm not making this up. And he's just like, what the fuck is a birth chart? You know what I'm saying? Because Dominicans don't really get into all of that. You know, it's typical.
Wait, it said it's impossible for you to be monogamous, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, you said polyamorous. So I wanted to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah. So impossible to just be with one.
But be with one.
Okay. I remember being like, yo, this is probably not going to go well. And then we had that conversation. And at first he did say no. And then, you know, we went deeper. That's why I love him, because we don't have to just like stop at the anger or the triggers. We can go deeper and go to the root together. And then he was really silent. And he was like, yes. He almost like whispered. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I could tell that he didn't want to, but I could also tell that he knew this was my truth. And I wasn't trying to piss him off. I wasn't trying to make a dramatic situation out of our marriage. I wasn't trying to embarrass him. And I had to also, I saw that when I reaffirmed him, I had to let him know, me opening up this doesn't mean that my love for you changes at all. If anything, I rock with you for my entire life because I've never had a space to be loved how I love myself. You know what I'm saying? Ever. And so after he has, you know, his idea from someone that's never seen polyamory, any motherfucking thing is like, that means that there's something wrong with me, or you're going to give more attention, or you're going to forget, or I'm compromising my spot. And when I let him know, like, we're going beyond that type of conversation. Nobody's spot is compromised. They are, you know, for me, I'm polyamorous in the way where I'm building a fucking empire. You understand? So like one person is not enough for me. What he fulfills is only what he fulfills. He's the only pure man I've ever met that never lies. That is exactly who, you know, that's great. But other areas, he will never be able to fulfill. Like no one can fulfill all of you. And that's just selfish to put that on to somebody. That's just starting for me. It's like starting off with an unrealistic expectation that your partner is going to be your everything. That's that concept to me is strange. And it puts too much pressure on people, which causes arguments and fights because your expectations weren't even realistic. I can't be everything to him.
Right.
I'm like, don't look for me for none of that other shit because I'm not doing it. I'm going to tell you right now, you know? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look internally, you can't do that for another person.
No.
I don't want to be asked to, because that's not fair to me to be like
It's
your
draining.
mother and your porn star and everything else to you, you know?
In the same day. No. Like, I'm
Right.
like, go and
I've tried.
Girl, I tried to, but you know, like, why are you still, you know, but I had to switch my mentality, you know, really becoming a woman. And we come back stronger because he has his space for his passions, his dreams. I have my passions, my dreams, and I have my people for that. You know, we have other spaces that we come together really strongly and we support each other. And that's the spark. And the love that I have for him, like I said, through just the freedom to be polyamorous, you know, is in the form of building, is a type of love that, you know, I can't even describe. I can't, you know, it's just like, it's the ultimate flow. I'll tell you, when you're in flow, you can accomplish anything. That's the type of flow we have now, that he's seen all of my depths. There's nothing that I hide from him. There's nothing that he hides from me, because like,
there's no need.
Why would you?
So we're so glad that he finally agreed and you guys are like living your truth. We still have one more principle.
This one you can only get to when you do the first 3.
Okay.
And it's bask in the essence of your womb.
Okay.
Bask.
How do we do
in
that?
The essence. So let's do it right now. Let's make it juicy.
I'm wondering if Ashley's like making her pussy juicy this whole episode.
Touch it! No,
this is going to take a turn. Never before done on the phone.
Walk me through going down on Ashley.
I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know. But okay, so we're gonna bask. Okay, I want you all, if you can, to put the mics down. I want you to just get into a very comfortable, relaxed position and just ground yourself in that position and take a deep, slow breath in through your nose, filling it into your nostrils, into your system, and then visualizing that breath going down to your root, your pelvis, your womb space. I want you to take another deep breath in through your nose, then letting that air out verbally. And as you're letting that out, I want you to just relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your chest, relax your stomach, relax your legs, relax your toes. Taking another deep breath in through your nose. But I want you to imagine your foundation opening to light. Taking that deep breath in, letting that full breath out, breathing as you visualize that light entering you from your womb space and moving freely up into your sacral, heart, throat, third eye, crown, chakras, energy point, and allowing that light to fill your entire being with energy, with awareness. And as you visualize this light just taking over your entire body, I want you to visualize what freedom looks like, what being your free, complete self feels like. Breathe that in, fill up with it. Let that breath out. I want you to put both of your hands on your heart. And I want you to breathe into that heart chakra, that heart energy space, and open it up with abundance and light. And then say these beautiful, simple words of affirmation. I am open to receiving the light and abundance that is here for me. I am love, the highest frequency. I am light. I accept all parts of me. I welcome in freedom, taking a deep breath in through your nose, letting your stomach relax and be full, opening your eyes, allowing the charged feeling, the slow down, aware feeling to be in your essence, in your core, and bask. Your pussy got powers.
We did it.
We did it.
Thank you for guiding us through it.
Oh, I hope somebody did this at their desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a Monday morning. I hope that they just like let this happen to their bodies before work or at work, you know?
And, basking can just look like tapping in. It's almost like the point is to sit back and to realize the magic that has been moving in your life. You've gotten opportunities that only were for you. That's beautiful. You've gotten, things have happened in your journey where you might have been the right place at the right time. It was for you, and so to bask in all that is a part of your journey is like honoring it and not just being like, oh yeah, thank you for this, thank you for that, but like really honoring, like I tell people all the time, like I'm a survivor of a lot of things. And sometimes the overactive thinking can really distract me from the fact that like, damn, I thought I wasn't going to survive that. And I thrived through it, and basking in the journey. Because every part of our journeys literally were called by us, So it's kind of like honoring the blueprint and really taking time to just slow down and not judge and just be. Those are just some of the principles that we really not even just talk about. Everything that we do is we do these activities, we do ceremonies that help you to honor yourself, because the problem is that most of us have a routine of a robot, like we don't really have self-care other than hair and nails, which that's not self-care, that's just taking care of yourself, right? So like most of us don't have quiet time or meditative time or basking time because we don't think that we deserve it, or we might not even see the value in sitting still, So I love it because we can. What I do is I really show women how to honor their highest version.
Well, thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I loved talking about all this with you. We want you to tell everybody where they can find you, how they can follow you, take your courses, all the things.
So I like to keep it simple, y'all. My website, I am cosmicvibes.com. And I'm sure y'all will type it out so they don't have to,
Absolutely.
question. It's literally how it is. My Instagram is also I am Cosmic Vibes. And those are the two places. So, of course, the Instagram will have the link in my bio and all of that. But anything that I offer will only be on those two platforms, just to keep it simple.
Okay.
I do want to talk about the community. So we have the Cosmic Orgasm, but that's a specialty 3-month intensive for any woman that wants to return to her power through sensuality, and that's really exciting because that's the work that I've been prepared to do. And it really is, it's not for everyone. You can start as a beginner, but it's not for everyone. You really, if you are interested in that, should have made a decision to choose you and to bet on yourself and be ready for what that looks like. So if you're not ready for that, I do have another option, and that is our weekly communities, which are literally founded in sisterhood. Women from around the world literally take this time once a week to come together for our Cosmic Community, which is Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern, and our Cosmic Mamas, which is for any woman that desires to be pregnant, that's currently pregnant, or that already has children. It's kind of like our weekly self-care. And that is for the woman that wants to start learning about these spaces, but isn't ready to completely attach to her pussy, the power of her pussy, but it's like an entry level subscription. We have trials, so you can really try it out for a month. The Cosmic Community is, I think, $22 a month. The other one is like $33. Super affordable. And what it's doing, to be I'm very blunt, I don't sell anything, it's teaching you to invest in your self-care, because not only is it the investment of a little bit of cash, you're taking a time weekly to gather with your sisters and to heal through authentic sisterhood, which is a whole nother conversation. And 2, you're training yourself that you deserve to be showed up for. Right. And so in those weekly gatherings, we have special guests. We kind of go over some of the base healing work of like releasing, manifestation, things of that nature, just to kind of ease people into these environments. And so all of those can be found on the website as well as my Instagram. So it's been my blessing to exchange energy with you too, as well.
It's been our blessing too. This was so wonderful. I'm so glad that we found you. Kelly helped us find you, and that now our audience has found you.
Yes.
Absolutely, sisters.
Right. Well, thank you, Cosmic. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Be well. Be well.
And you guys know where to find us. girlsgottaeatpodcast.com, at Girls Gotta Eat Podcast on Instagram, Ash Hess, Raina.Greenberg on Instagram, girls_gotta eat on Twitter, and youtube.com/girlsgottaeat. And that's all for us. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Bye.